All right. There we go. And amen, everybody. That was our first conversation with Malice. Did a great job, even with that delay that we had with all the audio. But that was a fantastic getting his thoughts and his perspective on what it's been like. Just the journey. That's a crazy journey that he's had in the past week.
He's even kind enough to lead the chat in a sermon as well at the end.
Oh boy. Yeah. I think the attitude that he's claiming to have is really, really strong, and I want to see how well that continues to stack up, because I think it's very clear that a lot of people who are here, Academy shouldn't be anybody's end goal, right? But as he said, the way to get to LCS or another major region is not by doing it by just winning Academy. A winning Academy is good, but you need to be trying to get better, and as he said, wins naturally follow that. So if Cloud9 are able to do that, I'm seeing a bright future for Malice and everybody else. And he was honestly a lot more wholesome than I was expecting him to be.
Yeah.
And, I'm now starting to think, am I a Malice fan yet? We're not quite there. But Malice, maybe one or two more performances like this, and you'll have another simp.
Well, hey, it's always important to remind everybody we're all humans at the end of the day, okay? There's always a face and a person behind that screen, behind that nameplate. But that wraps up Cloud9 Academy versus Evil Geniuses Academy. Big turnaround for C9 as a Academy org. But we have our next matchup ahead of us, guys. So I want to bring your conversation to the future. FlyQuest Academy now going up against Golden Guardians Academy. Now, GGA, they did have a very strong performance yesterday against this C9 roster. It carried heavily through the bottom lane. FlyQuest Academy still struggling a little bit here in the early season. So I want to pass this one to you first, Joshi. FlyQuest Academy, you're the Philip guy. You're the Stan. Talk me through FlyQuest.
Yeah, so Philip, one of my favorite players currently on this roster, and I feel like early on in the season he showed a lot of promise, and then since then we've actually had another stand-up player in one of the their only wins that they had up against IMT, where Diamond brought out his Blitzcrank and was able to consistently find a lot of hooks. And again, I still think that this FlyQuest roster is kind of similar to where I thought Cloud9 was yesterday, where it felt like they are all good enough players to have a lot of success. They just aren't necessarily playing on the same page just quite yet. If they can figure that out, this team will do so much better.
And their opponents on the Rift, of course, we got to talk about them. The team that has played in every single tournament possible here in North America, from the Open qualifiers for Proving Ground Circuit qualifiers, LCS Lock-in, now Academy, Rafa, the Golden Gods themselves. This is a team that has a lot of experience coming in already early in the season.
Yeah, you said it. The North American Tour, right? Playing in Unified Proving Grounds on the amateur side, playing in LCS during the lock-in tournament, and then, of course, in Academy. Now, these guys do not sleep, or very little. They are night and day, playing stage games. I don't even know how much scrim time they get in between during the off days, but at least now that the amateur side of things has ended, there's, the Mondays and Tuesdays starting to open up a bit on their schedule until the next Open qualifiers, of course. And now that lock-in tournament is also gone, Academy is kind of closer to a normal schedule for Golden Guardians, but they've definitely benefited from all the stage games and the practice and the reps, because they're coming together as a pretty solid team so far.
And in particular, Chime has actually been impressing me a lot here on the Golden Guardians Academy roster. A support, we don't have a lot of support that, take the spotlight from teams in North America, but matching up against Diamond, somebody who's been in the league for quite a while, one of the mainstays in North America. Diamond's won at least 2 championships in Academy, if not more. I can't remember off the top of my head, but the matchup between these two supports will be crucial into determining what this series will look like going forward here, Joshi.
Yeah, and I feel like as we watch some of these clips coming out from Diamond play, we get to see, this guy creates a lot of space on basically every team that he plays on. This was from last year when this FlyQuest roster had a ton of success, and he was able to play a lot of different things. But as we start looking a little bit more at what he's been doing recently, the Blitzcrank, upping the variance a little bit, going for these big plays, and baiting out his opponents suddenly becomes a huge opportunity for FlyQuest to find advantages where they weren't previously able to do it, and allow not just Diamond, but also Tomo to have a lot of success.
I just want to jump on that real quick. That series was the first not only game that FlyQuest were winning, but also the first series that FlyQuest winning. It caught us all by surprise, even enough that it sent Kangas into the Shadow Realm briefly on his end as well.
People Eater.
But, we'll bring back Kangas once he's able to recover from the
There
fact
we
that,
go.
oh yeah, FlyQuest
I've recovered from the
won a
void.
series, right?
So FlyQuest won their first series. They have 1-2-0 under their belt, yet to win anything else past that. And now Golden Guardians, like I said, Chime is a tough opponent, right? Chime in the support position here has been making a lot of plays for Golden Guardians, and he's been laning with Stixay, not Violet, the intended AD carry for this Golden Guardians Academy roster,
Yeah.
but still, I mean, he's doing stuff like this.
I mean, Emily Wren made the same joke on Twitter as we've been saying for a little while. It's like, he's been telling people for a while, it's like, I'm not a Bard one trick, I'm a Thresh one trick. And so maybe you should start
Yep.
considering changing his name to FLYA, right? But they're just constantly able to find these unique angles. And that's a big reason why they got their win over Cloud9, is because they weren't ready for everything that Chime was ready to throw out and just create so much space for everybody else.
Golden Guardians Academy on the up and up. FlyQuest Academy still trying to recover from a bit of a slump here in the early season, but we're ready for pick and ban, so I'm going to send it back to just you two casters to take us away for game number 1.
My king is FlyQuest Golden Guardians. You know, for the projected outcome of these two teams, I think most of us on the Academy on-air talent side of things had different expectations for these teams because Golden Guardians have so much experience across the board where most of these players have played in LCS to some extent or just mostly Academy for quite a bit of time, whereas you look at FlyQuest, Eugene Spyrex being 2 new members for the team, making their Academy debut, Philip making his second split Academy so far after coming in towards the second half of the summer split after Kumo and a majority of the members from FlyQuest Academy that were doing so well got the chance to play in the LCS for them.
Yeah.
FlyQuest has been still struggling to find consistency and a playstyle that really suits them, but one of the things that we can build up is, not only, Tomo and Diamond being some of the main centerpieces that are helping lead the team, but also some of the new members like Spyrex finding his form a little bit, especially in that series that they won over Immortals last week.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really telling here that we're already seeing Golden Guardians banning out the Thresh against FlyQuest, but with a lot of the obvious first picks gone, the Corki banned away, Twisted Fate banned away, Zeri taken off the table, it seems like Golden Guardians do not want to allow Diamond to take this champion because, Chime's just like, I'm a one trick, I know everything about it, and trust me, this champion is broken, right? But it still leaves a lot of big AD carries that we know Tomo has played quite a bit of in his tenure here still available, and Jinx tends to become the first pick of choice for a lot of teams when everything else is taken off the table, or potentially the Caitlyn, something that we haven't seen a whole lot just because it's usually banned.
Yeah, Golden Guardians faced with the last ban option, they wanted to take away the Jarvan from Yuji, it seems like. And
Yeah.
Golden Guardians gonna answer right back, say, okay, well, you get this Caitlyn, but we know that we don't have to lock down our choice of marksman in the Aphelios or the Jinx right away. We're going to prioritize the support option that normally is paired alongside the Caitlyn and the Karma, and the Xin Zhao, who will be their jungle choice.
Makes a lot of sense. Iconic did have some pretty good plays on it yesterday, going up against Cloud9, but this is, again, another team where we are going to need to see Tony Top and Iconic having a bit more of an impact on the games. Tony Top, we've known for a long time, he's been very volatile as a top laner, not always having an opportunity to win his lane, but when he wins hard. Same time as we see the Lux and the Lee Sin lock in for FlyQuest, a very powerful bottom lane coming through for the blue side of the map, and Golden Guardians, I mean, Karma is able to contest a lot of the push that Caitlyn and Lux are going to put out. Ezreal, not necessarily going to be able to provide quite as much, but still very safe up against all of the bursts that's going to be coming out of FlyQuest.
So now Golden Guardians, because they have something like an Ezreal Karma against the pushing power of Lux Caitlyn, I'm curious if Golden Guardians are now shifting a lot of their attention to giving resources to Tony Top and Ryoma. They're going to have at least counterpick for one of these solo laners. And now for Ryoma, if Ryoma is going to be the first one that has to blind pick an option into FlyQuest's Spyrax, you got to take away some of the champions that might be scary to deal with.
Well, one of the other things that we're going to have to pay attention to is Ryoma is one of the mid laners that a lot of people have been hyping up quite a bit. Obviously, long tenure over in Oceania, where he was able to consistently be towards the top of the field. And Spyrax, relatively new, as you already identified, playing collegiate for a long time. I believe it was with Maryville, where he really had an opportunity to grow after Wolfie graduated. But Spyrax is one of these players that has had some mixed results so far for FlyQuest. He's had a couple of really strong games on a number of different champions, and then he's also got a lot of stiff competition that has been showing him up a little bit. And so now he should have counter pick going into this mid lane. We'll see what he chooses to go for, because he's got a lot of options based on the way the rest of FlyQuest is already drafted.
Corki's not available, right? But the Victor is,
True.
and that was something that Spyrex had such great success with in last week's games. Oh, but look at this. Golden Guardians are going to prioritize the Gwen and giving counter pick over to Ryoma.
Wow. That's pretty bold coming through. I mean, Tony Top is typically somebody that thrives with a counter pick, but instead they're going to be letting this Gwen go through and get countered. What? Okay, hold on. They're just going to be hovering a couple of random things to throw up.
Don't
now.
get
The
debated.
Jace, I let it happen to me. The Jace is obviously a very good pick into the Gwen. The one problem, right, is you can't always hit them with the Howlett Mist up, but other than that, you are able to do a lot of damage. And with the amount of early pick and the amount of burst that FlyQuest is able to put out from such a long range, it becomes very dangerous for Golden Guardians to look for a way in, and they currently have no real engage tools. They just kind of throw Iconic in and just say, hey, go get him, and we'll be there in a second.
But FlyQuest don't really have strong engage either. Yuji has to get in there and find an insect flank, and lo and behold, is this the return of Tristana mid for Ryoma? We saw this a long time ago. I'm trying to remember if it was the spring split of Academy or if, gosh, this is
Has to have been, yeah. I think it was back in spring. It's been a long time since we've seen Tristana mid or solo lane really pop off at all. I think Viper played it once during summer, but other than that, there's not a lot of this champion being played in general. And it will allow Golden Guardians to have a way to kind of jump on a single target, burst them down, and then look to reset off of that. But the question is always going to be, how are Golden Guardians going to be getting these fights started? There's, the Lux binding you have to deal with. You have to walk through a number of traps. There's a gravity field. Jace gives his team a lot of movement speed, and then there's a kick on top of it. So it's very easy for FlyQuest to really disengage a lot of these fights and create a lot of space that Golden Guardians are going to have to try and make up. And it's not as cut and dry as we were looking at with our previous series, where Cloud9 was like, yeah, you get to 5-10 minutes and you are even or ahead, you're probably going to win the game. It's not that simple. There's a lot of play to be had in this series.
Now, here's my question, though, to you, Josh, because I agree. Both teams have relatively difficult times of actually finding ways to start a fight, unless, they're able to find a pick of some sort onto one target. But that is also the case for, it's the case for both teams, right? And I'm curious, by this Tristana lock-in, you don't outrange Caitlyn early on, but she gets extra range as the later the game scales up. And because now you're in a solo lane where you're going to get more gold and more experience faster, since you're not sharing it with a support, I wonder if that's the answer. You just now are trying to pick champions, at least in terms of backline units, from Stixxay and Ryoma, who can outrange Caitlyn the later the game goes. Because Stixxay, yes, it's not the attack range that outranges the Caitlyn. It's just the Mystic shot trying to pelt away from, safety distance.
Yeah. It is worth noting that Tristana is one of the few AD carries that ever outranged Caitlyn later on in the game. But, let's be real about it, Mark. Most games do not get to that part of the game. It's very rare that Tristana ever gets to, I believe it's level 16 that they start to outrange. But we got a 5-on-5. Magical would be thrilled.
Let the tension build up. Wait, but both teams now know they're there, right? Oh, wait.
Well, they only know that one person is there, for sure.
Wait. Oh, okay, there's a skill shot thrown, and now Golden Guardians have shown themselves. Okay. No,
Ooh, okay.
I was really hoping for a 5-on-5 brawl, because the way it panned out, because Golden Guardians threw down their ward first, I don't think FlyQuest necessarily saw the ward from Golden Guardians in time.
But the big thing is, you look at that. Both of them have one CS that end up getting picked up. And I'm not sure. I think it was shared amongst 3 people for FlyQuest, which, if I remember correctly, doesn't allow you to get level 2 on the first wave. Whereas Ryoma, I have no idea how many people actually shared the experience on that ward. So if Ryoma gets level 2 on the first wave, yeah, okay, Spyrex has the bit of extra experience, as does Ryoma. They're either both getting level 2 on the first wave, or neither of them are, and I'm pretty sure it's neither of them.
Don't think Ryoma's hitting level 2 quite yet. We could be wrong. Because if he does, maybe there's an all-in potential. He has Ignite, he has Hail of Blades, and this is a very aggressive lane. He's just going to straight up jump on him with Rocket Jump level 1.
He just starts... What? Okay, I mean, it ends up working out. A lot of good damage going through, but not going to be hitting level 2 just quite yet. And Spyrax will be able to get most of this CS back, but Ryoma taking a lot of damage for that. He still has the Omni Vent provided by the Doran's Blade and the Potion, but this is suddenly incredibly volatile. Ryoma level 2, but the wave is too far pushed for him to really get any more bullying down onto Spyrax, based on the fact that Spyrax's shield and the empowered auto attack make his early game so strong.
And even though that Ryoma did expend a very long cooldown in the Rocket Jump, which I think early on is like 18 seconds, maybe 20. He's going back in it for again, but he should know that Yuji's timer isn't quite ready for him to punish unless he did something really cheesy like go for a blue buff and just waiting on the top side of the map. But he full cleared the top side of the map. No way for him to punish Ryoma lacking true escape outside of Flash. So Ryoma is just looking to bully Spyrax constantly in the early game.
With the Corrupting Potion, though, it's very difficult for Spyrax to get pushed out of this lane. With the teleport available, I mean, Ryoma goes in. It's not that much damage.
Still has one more Corrupting Potion to chew through and regenerate a lot of life back. Tomo and Diamond, meanwhile, living up to the Caitlyn and Lux dream, just constantly shoving in this lane into 6A and Chime. Iconic not necessarily in a place where he could go for a gank, and they have the vision control protecting them from a river gank if Iconic ever were to come towards that side of the map. So, Stixay and Chime just accepting with grace the natural push state that will happen in this lane. Iconic is on the bottom side of the map, but I don't imagine he'll be looking for a gank, just the Scuttle Crab instead.
Should be alright. I mean, going to be going in, looking for an opportunity to see if he can spot out Yuji. Oh, he's coming around the backside, but Yuji's already here.
Will Yuji get it there in time? He's also level 4. Iconic is still level 3. They're flashing forward. FlyQuest just have to buy enough time for Yuji to get in there, but it might be quick enough that Iconic will come out with first blood. Yuji does answer back in response, and Chime used both of his summoner spells to close the distance there, and Yuji has his flash still available, but he flashes away, goes back in with a Sonic Wave. Is going to be enough damage? No! Stixay is able to punt out enough through the Mystic Shots and the auto attacks, but now Tomo has to keep himself back, because even though he has a health advantage currently over Stixay, he's got the red buff and the blue buff now.
Crazy fight back and forth, and it ends up being a 2-for-1 like we saw between these two teams. It's a pretty big opportunity right now for Stixay. He had a pop-off game yesterday against Cloud9 and already getting a kill and assist in a lane where he was pushed up underneath his turret the entire time. It's going to be relieving a lot of this early pressure because of how much money he'll be able to come back to lane with the tier, start getting the Marinamune stacked up very quickly. He might even be able to get a Sheen at the same time.
Maybe a huge amount of gold and a huge amount of lane power for Ezreal. And normally a lot of the times, you know, Caitlyn can bully out a lot of marksmen, even Ezreal who's safely farming away. But as soon as you get that Sheen, those trades start to look a lot more favorable for your side of the matchup.
Yeah. He's definitely got the money for both of those components. So the question will be, how does Stixay want to play? Does he want to scale faster by getting more parts of the Muramana, or does he want to get the Sheen so he can actually go for some of these trading patterns? With no flash on Chime or Diamond, when people start getting towards level 6, that will open up as an opportunity for attack. But right now, the double buffs the Stixay have allow him to shove this out and give Iconic the space necessary to pick up the first dragon.
Shoving this wave with impunity. Iconic, as you said before, will be clearing out the first dragon. Yuji is in the area. I don't know if he knows that Iconic is doing it, or if he does, there's not really anything that he can do. And 1v1 in the mid lane, Ryoma having to flash away from the Chaos Storm, Spyrax holding his own. Ryoma burned both of Summoner spells and the ultimate as well, whereas Spyrax, it's only the Chaos Storm that comes out.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage going through from Spyrax. Remember, it's still very strong, and Realma starting to get close to the point of the game where Tristana is a lot weaker, right? It's a champion that really needs multiple items to come back in, and as Spyrax is going to be leveling up pretty significantly, will be having more base damage as this Victor than the Tristana will. So, small advantage going through for the side of FlyQuest, but the big one is, again, Stixay picking up a kill and an assist is going to be the big man on campus. And the rest of the game kind of holding even, right? We said there was a lot of play to be had in this game. Both teams should be very satisfied with their position.
It's fun being the big man on campus, Josh. You have
It
so
is.
much power, and you
Yeah, I wouldn't know.
damn.
I'm 5'8", dude.
I mean, it's not about the height, Josh. It's about the confidence, and it's about the swag. You know, it's all about presence.
Yeah, I will tell you something funny. For a long time, people thought that I was like close to 6 foot, and then when they told me that, I was just like, "Wait, you've seen me in person. How do you think that?"
Are the people who thought you were 6 foot just shorter than you, or
No, they were taller. They were over 6 foot, and they were just like, I was like, "What? What are you talking about?" But
rose tinted glasses?
yeah, but we'll get back to that. For now, everybody at Twitch chat can flame me for being a short king, but in the meantime. Ryoma still going to be pushing things forward. Hasn't necessarily found a large advantage here over Spyrex just quite yet. And Spyrex farming quite well in a matchup that he's probably less familiar with at this point than Ryoma, right? You don't find this a whole lot in solo queue. This is something that's definitely going to be a competitive special. And Ryoma, you know, again, coming into the next couple of minutes with not as much strength, is likely to get pushed around. With no flash, is a prime target for Yuji to come return.
Ryoma is taking a lot of time to invest in vision control, not only for himself defensively, but also aggressively for Iconic. Now Iconic has walked on up. I don't think Iconic was necessarily spotted by Spyrex. Yuji is hovering on the top side, so he can always cheat towards that side of the lane in case he's in trouble. He still has flash, but Iconic is shifting his attention towards the bottom side of the map. Looks like he's, with all this pressure that Chime and 6A were able to build up, it's a red buff that will be rewarded for Iconic, but Yuji will take this opportunity to start the first Rift Herald of the game.
Yeah, Iconic and Spyrex played together on Maryville, right?
Oh, no.
Or are they different generations?
Yeah, different generations.
Okay. Well, they definitely both played on Maryville at different points.
Yeah.
Right? Iconic kind of made the jump directly from collegiate into professional play with the LCS and Golden Guardians previously. Now, not trying to punish his, Kohai. Instead, just going to be pushing things forward and allowing Stixie and Chime to, again, get a lot of push in this lane. This is not typically how Caitlyn Lux lanes are supposed to go, so this is a pretty big win coming out from the Golden Guardians on the bottom side.
A lot of damage down onto turret, the bottom side of the map. Ryoma also having push in the mid lane ensures that Iconic can always just be aggressive in this side of the map. Yuji has Rift Herald, and I was curious to see if with the Rift Herald he would have played towards Philip and used the Rift Herald to give him more plates. But
Nah, Philip's too big of a man. You don't need any silly Rift Heralds.
they're actually going to put it towards the top side of the map. Okay. I mean, it's either the Jace or the Caitlyn will benefit greatly off of getting more money accelerated here. But Chime and Iconic now on the flank. 6A is below 400 HP. So Golden Guardians can't necessarily start a fight, but they will prevent FlyQuest from staying.
Chime. That's bold, right? He knows that his team isn't there, but the rest of FlyQuest aren't necessarily sure where Iconic is standing. So just that little bit of a bluff gets a little bit of extra damage down at basically no cost to Chime. But the rest of the map, Philip is doing pretty decently in this matchup, and Tony Top hasn't had an opportunity to be super aggressive just quite yet. And neither jungler, I think, has really paid a whole lot of attention to this top lane. So it really is just Philip kind of winning out over Tony Top for now. We know that both these champions scale very, very well. So continue to expect to see this being a skill matchup for the foreseeable future.
Check this out, though. Stixay, despite not being able to pick up that last minion wave, this is an Essence Reaver at 10.5 minutes. Not a mythic item, but it is a huge item spike for this Ezreal to be able to combat. And now off of this reset from Tomo and Diamond, it's going to be second dragon awarded to the side of Golden Guardians.
Yeah. FlyQuest, their bottom lane has already recalled, so there's no real way for FlyQuest to contest, and Yuji, smartly, not going to be going in for a real steal attempt. Instead, just happy to continue farming his jungle. Don't take bad fights. Make sure you only go for things when they are favorable. But Philip, picking up some honey fruit, munching on that, doesn't have a corrupting potion to slurp on. So, is going to be walking back into lane, but the game, again, kind of stalling out. This is what we were looking at before with the way that Cloud9 were playing, the champions that Malice was looking to play, punish the style of play that is really slow. right? They were looking to scale up really heavily, whereas here, neither side obviously has this huge scaling advantage where they're going to just blow away the opponent at a certain point, and there's not a whole lot that others can do about it. It really is going to be about jockeying for position.
Look at this.
Man.
I mean, Yuji's on the way, but he's going to be a few seconds too late, and Yuji has no way to be able to close the distance in time. Ryoma is also here to make sure that this dive is just easy peasy, baby, for the side of Golden Guardians.
Golden Guardians, I mean, 6-4 before the day started, looking quite good. And Stixxay, I kind of wish we got to see this version of Stixxay previously, but right now he is Coach of the Year so far. 1-0-3, Ryoma needs to get out.
Oh no, Ryoma has rocket jump. Can he get over the wall? Has to flash away from the gravity zone, being able to lock him down. Ryoma will survive at the cost of his flash.
Oh, Yuji's not done with him. Yuji still wants it.
Oh,
The turret goes down.
Yuji wants this so badly. No Dragon's Rage available. Was looking for another wood hop over the wall, but diving under a tower without the minion wave prepped means that the shots will be coming in quick.
Firex picking up a plate. Yeah, I'm really excited for this Golden Guardians roster recently. Like, just being able to see them at different points across the scene gives us a very different idea, right? Typically, there's not a whole lot of easy ways for us to say, oh yeah, amateur, academy, we think that they are going to be good or bad. It's, you know, mostly based purely off an eye test. Like, I feel like these teams are good, but Golden Guardians gives us a great benchmark across the field. Oh my gosh, Iconic doesn't have smite.
Philip has flash if he needs to get it over the wall, but he's technically a level above. However, we don't know how much of cooldowns Philip has available. And Philip finally, after seeing the Crescent Guard come out, says, okay, you win the 1v1.
Fine. You do, in fact, have a higher quality mythic than I do. The Eclipse definitely needs a lot more items to make up for it. But Yuji coming into the mid lane, not going to be looking for a fight with Ryoma. Just want to clear things out at the moment. That's going to be another plate. Going over to Golden Guardians mid laner, and with the gold lead and the dragon lead coming their way, Golden Guardians should be pretty darn happy to let Ezreal hit 2 items. I imagine that he's getting pretty close to finishing the Mana Moon, turning it from components into the full item. And at that point, it's just a ticking time bomb until he is very, very powerful. Because a lot of these champions are coming into a part of the game where they aren't particularly strong, right? Victor with the Crown of the Shattered Queen doesn't do a ton of damage. Caitlyn with just the Gale Force doesn't have a whole lot beyond her range to play with. There's just not a lot of base damage and not enough attack speed to make up for it just quite yet. And then Tristana, very similar thing. Doesn't have the damage to just go with it. It's just range at the moment. Ezreal is going to be the king of the Rift for the next couple minutes.
Mid-game, so much power. And Iconic finds Philip once again, flashing forward. Can he get the Audacious Charge in time? Unfortunately, the cooldown is a little too long. Philip will be able to survive, but Ryoma might have enough time to get some damage down onto this turret. Does he actually knock it down? Ooh. I don't think he can stay. He wants to do it. Buster Shot comes out. Philip still doesn't have flash. Okay.
A lot of damage. I mean, that's why Jay scales well, man. That's what Philip has been able to do in the past. Kind of looking like Surdy a little bit, right? Getting similar vibes from them in the way that Surdy was playing in our previous series as the way Philip is playing now, right? He's refusing to be a passenger in these games. He's saying, I'm going to try and find an advantage. I'm going to try and be somebody who's going to be winning the game. And most players in the Philip versus Iconic, they would have just flashed over the wall and been like, yeah, nah, this isn't worth it. But Philip just waited out and said, maybe if you make a mistake, I might be able to find a kill here. But Iconic didn't make a mistake, and it's just that attitude that Philip has that I think is going to take him really far.
And we even saw in the interview he had as well, talking about how he's just ready to make an impact in Academy and show why he was picked up in the first place. They're trying to prepare for this dragon, but Tony top on the flank. Ace of the Hole already comes out, trying to push Golden Guardians back, and no more Howl Miss. Tony top has to get out. A lot of damage coming from the final spark. FlyQuest now grouping around Philip, who has come to the fray after pushing in the mid wave. Golden Guardians Academy trying to recuperate. Tony top does have Unleashed teleport available, so he's getting in the recall. We'll be able to teleport right back in. 5,000 HP on the dragon. Golden Guardians trying to play this one slow, fishing for mystic shots, poking back FlyQuest members, but watch out for the accelerated shock blast from Philip. Does land a lot of damage onto Chime. Down 300 HP, but Tony top on the flank. will be spotted out by this ward. Now, FlyQuest, you have to react. Are you going to collapse on a Tony top, or will you advance forward? You can't just sit back. You have to choose one direction. Iconic going in, crescent guard onto multiple members. But I don't think the rest of Golden Guardians can follow up 6-8 with this True Shot Barrage. Multiple members of FlyQuest are super low, but they still find a numbers advantage on the Tony top. But their HP is way too low to continue the rest of the fight. And Golden Guardians will be able to secure the third dragon of the game. Philip, will he get run down by Iconic? Doesn't think so. Audacious Charge not available. Oh my god, Josh. This game is way different than the previous series because there are so many kills. This time, it's way more controlled.
Way more controlled and difficult to get fights started. Remember, neither of these teams have obvious ways to do anything when a fight is actually going. We're still waiting on Chime to finish his Shirelia's Reverie, and once you get the double movement speed between the Mantra E and the Shirelias, then they can just run at them really effectively, and Xin Zhao and Gwen will be able to create enough space. Until that happens, it's just these two teams poking at each other, and neither team has a ton of damage to play with. And that's a big reason why, you know, FlyQuest were unsure. What direction do we go? Do we fight Gwen? Do we fight the other four? Well, eventually they end up deciding that they should probably kill the Gwen so that they get something out of this fight, but it is so close. Multiple members almost go down, and they're still waiting for this Caitlyn and the Victor to come back online and have the damage to actually trade back against this Ezreal.
Despite all of that, the gold lead, while ahead for Golden Guardians, not that much. Really, the objective lead is through the dragons picked up. They are now on soul point for Mountain, and that is one where, especially against a bunch of burst damage in the likes of FlyQuest, if they're not able to consistently follow up on the poke afterwards, that Mountain Soul Shield will be a huge difference maker in them being able to establish control for objectives.
Ooh, barely missing out on the Rift Child finishing off the turret as well. But yeah, I mean, we said the big thing that I'm looking for from FlyQuest is their ability to alpha strike people with lending one correct control and following it up with everything else. The Mountain does a ton of work to prevent that from happening. If it's enough, we'll see. I feel like the members of FlyQuest are overkilling by quite a bit at this point. But it is still going to help, and it will definitely keep people like Tony Top and Iconic alive throughout these games. And you know, one of the things that I'm kind of looking at, speaking of Iconic a little bit more, Maryville player, played on Golden Guardians for a time with Niles. I feel like when I watch him play, you know, he's obviously come a long way from his time on Maryville, and his ability to path around the map seems a lot better a lot of the time. But the thing is it feels like people want him to be this big playmaker, and he's still trying to figure out exactly how to do that.
An Iconic, most of the time, playing towards a strong top side of the map, thanks to his experience playing with Niles both at Maryville University as well as in LCS during the time that Niles and Iconic were together. But then I think they brought in Licorice later on for Golden Guardians. Yeah. So Iconic is still used to playing towards the top side of the map, but he has diversified his playstyle a bit. But I agree, you know, Iconic is still in this period of growth, trying to really solidify his identity as a player. I know we've seen in times where, you know, when the jungle pool was filled with things like Nidalee and Graves, Iconic, huge fan of that, taking games into his own hands. But on something like the Xin Zhao, it's more about, okay, how do I buy enough space for the rest of my backline to safely output damage?
So yesterday, you know, looking at how Iconic was playing, he is one of the best, like, secondary playmakers, right? If you start a fight, he plays secondary engage like a dream. We saw, like, the Chime was playing Thresh, and he was throwing out the lanterns and going for all these hooks, and Iconic was like, yes, that's it. This is the fight. We are going all in. But kind of this team is missing that primary playmaker, at least in this particular composition. Chime can't really make those plays happen. He can just say, go, I choose you, go forward. Iconic, use wind becomes lightning.
Yeah, Audacious Charge forward. So we're seeing, well, nice damage from 6-8, True Shot Barrage, but no one else really around to follow up and make this a kill opportunity. This is kind of the state of the game we're in. Both teams have just been trading waves back and forth, because as you talked about before, no real way to start a fight or look for picks reliably means that we're just waiting until this next dragon point. Of FlyQuest, while they have been getting better at being more coordinated as a team. They still have ways to go, and they have not been able to find a window to find a pick on the Golden Guardians before this 4th dragon has spawned. And now things are going to get very difficult because Golden Guardians have control of the river, but they've let them through the choke point. FlyQuest have been able to bully themselves way back in.
This positioning sucks from Golden Guardians, right? Like, Chime and Sticks, they can't really come in. It's really on Tony-Top and Iconic to try and find some kind of angle, but Chime and Sticks a good job running around. That's one of the things I talk about in my video, is don't go through your opponent's choke points. Now, though, Stixay has no health to play with.
He has to play all the way back, and FlyQuest, they should know that they're lacking a little bit of damage, but Tony-Top going for the flank here, but Ryoma gets found out by Yuji sailing through with that Sonic Wave. A true shot barrage is all that Stixay can really contribute, because it's not safe for him to fly out on Mystic shots, but it looks like he was able to lifesteal back on up through a minion wave or two. 3,000 on the dragon. Iconic is still alive, so he can always still challenge and secure this dragon if he finds the damage for it. He flashed over the wall, but he doesn't know that it was still 2,000 HP, and now everyone from FlyQuest can dogpile on the jungler, and they will deny Mountain Soul for the time being.
Great play coming through from FlyQuest. Just patience, knowing that Stixay doesn't have the HP to stick around, and FlyQuest looking to convert this team fight win into something even larger. Iconic not on the field, will not be able to try and contest this Baron. They will not have the smite, and FlyQuest, as they start hitting it, they do have to be wary. There's a lot of poke and a couple of low members for Ryoma to potentially reset off of.
Tony-Top has teleported in. He doesn't have needlework available, I don't think, but he can still threaten to take them off. Stixay and Chime are coming in for the pincer. 2,000 HP on the Baron. They should still be able to secure it. Yuji smites it down, but now can they escape the terror of this Gwen? True shot barrage. Sub 400 HP on Philip, but no one when FlyQuest will go down.
Great disengage once again from FlyQuest. Very, very tempered play. Very good coordination. As we take a look at the replay once again, I mean, I'll say it. I've said it once. I'll say it 100 times. You got to count the number of friends you have. Stixay was not here for the fight, and even though he has 4 people with his ultimate, that's not enough to take any of them down. A lot of them just sitting at relatively low HP, and then Iconic, right? He has to kind of take a gamble. He has no idea what HP the dragon is at, and ends up overplaying his hand, going down and guaranteeing FlyQuest not just the dragon, but also the Baron.
And if you're wondering, now that we're back to live, why Stixay's health bar is so low, Philip and Diamond found both Final Spark, Ace in the Hole from Tomo, and an accelerated Shock Blast. And they have sent Stixay back to the fountain with this Baron. They have just destroyed 2 turrets instantaneously. They might be looking for a third on this inhibitor turret.
There you go. I mean, that's kind of like, they're trying. Ooh, he's trying. But FlyQuest, this is the poke that we were talking about, right? Like, anybody who comes too close, if you're not going for a full-on engage, is just going to get poked out, because now members are starting to have the damage necessary. Philip on 2.5, Spyrex on 2, Caitlyn on 2. These champions are not even fully online, but they're probably at like 70 to 80% operational, and once you're there, members of Golden Guardians need to go for full-on engages, but they don't have the tools to necessarily get those fights started right away. Wait for Chime to go for Shurelya's and the E all at the same time, and maybe we can see them engage onto FlyQuest.
It's all on Iconic, but without a flash, it becomes far more difficult to reliably set that up, right? You have to rely on the wind becomes lightning landing so you can get the extended audacious charge range. But Golden Guardians, they're now facing the brunt of... I think that's just the emote of like, what can we do? A True Shot Barrage finds a little bit of poke, but this is the core of FlyQuest's composition. Long range, sieging abilities, and when they're the ones that are ahead and they don't have to fear about Golden Guardians just being able to run forward at a very fast speed, they can just pelt down at these structures, force members like Ryoma and Chime away with their obnoxious poke, and just like that, through time and patience, they have taken down 2 inhibitors in the base of Golden Guardians.
Yeah, great stuff coming through from FlyQuest, right? They're not forcing themselves to make these big plays. They're just letting Golden Guardians make a mistake. They allowed Iconic to go through for a play, and then after getting this big advantage, it's so difficult to withstand the siege that is available to FlyQuest, and it's so difficult as well for Golden Guardians to find and engage. I think at this point the tables have fully turned in this game. Ezreal was the king of the Rift for a little while, but while he was king, he was quickly deposed because he had no HP and the rest of his team fought without him.
Golden Guardians, they were 1 dragon away from Mountain Soul. But because of how FlyQuest were able to coordinate in that river and patiently wait for the dragon before Iconic showed himself a little too early, they denied Mountain Soul, bought themselves time to now destroy multiple parts of Golden Guardians' base. And with this dragon coming up, I mean, yes, Golden Guardians can always look for it, but it's going to be so difficult because you have to deal with the waves in the top and the mid side of the map.
I don't know if Golden Guardians can do it, but the one thing that I can't count on is ever since Stixxay has started playing with this incarnation of Golden Guardians, he's a big fan of Invictus all of a sudden, right? He is the master of his fate. He is going to be the one who is going to take control of this game, and the way that Stixxay plays when he's behind with this roster, absolutely insane. He goes for things that we would have never seen before. Unfortunately, the Crown blocked a lot of that, but man, is it difficult for him to dodge all of the skill shots that are thrown his way.
Okay,
there you go.
That's the charge, the movement speed from Shirelia's. And Iconic, they just jumped on Dotomo. He had no flash available. FlyQuest didn't have a chance to respond. Philip is going to try to answer back, pops the stopwatch to buy some time, but Golden Guardians, just right before the Mountain Dragon spawn, they find 2 members. But the battle's going to still continue. Spyrex forcing them back with the Chaos Storm. Tony Top trying to look for a recall, but and just as I say that, he's the one that's getting bursted down. Ryoma had to go back and defend the base from being just shattered by the minions that are pouring in through mid and the top waves.
Spyrex does so much damage at this point of the game, has 3 completed items, and Golden Guardians just need to make sure that they don't lose more on the backside of this play. Just going a little bit too far forward, and now FlyQuest going to be grabbing their 2nd dragon of the game. And you know what's cooler than Mountain Soul, Mark? This is unironically true. 4 Mountain Dragons.
Oh my god, yeah.
Disgusting. 24%. Maybe it's 32. I can't remember if it's 6 or 8. It used to be 8, but I think it's 6 now. Bonus magic resist and armor. That doesn't make you 24% more tanky. It makes you considerably more tanky than that because of the way that extra armor works, because it just is a multiplier on what you are already doing. So, FlyQuest, I mean, we get to see the one downfall of their composition. If they aren't grouped up, if they aren't able to peel for each other, you can just run at them very quickly. And you have to run at them sufficiently quickly in order to make it happen. But after this, Spyrex knows there are no buttons left. There's not enough speed on the members of Golden Guardians to actually catch him once again, and he can choose to run down isolated members.
Unfortunately for Tony Top, he was also routed off by the rest of the FlyQuest core, despite having a numbers advantage from GG. They had to deal with the base. The inhibitors won't be coming up anytime soon. And this Baron has respawned once again. Unfortunately for GG, it's hard for them to contest for an objective like this unless Iconic can sneak his way towards a part of the map where vision control isn't being maintained by FlyQuest, and that's really the Tribush, but everywhere else,
it's dark. There's nothing for them to really do, so FlyQuest is going to be going in. They are bullying down this Baron.
2,000 HP. FlyQuest trying to wait for it, and they've let it regenerate. They're going to wait for Philip to put some more pressure back onto Tony Top on the other side of the map. Both of them have Unleashed Teleport available. Philip forcing out a lot of damage onto Tony Top, so he's not going to be able to answer and respond, and so FlyQuest feel more comfortable burning down this Baron once again. No flash available for Iconic. He flashes over the wall, 16 on HP, but it's UG who will stand tall and will be able to secure the Baron. No pressure on him whatsoever. Iconic will go down. Philip has teleported to the fight. Ryoma incredibly low. Yuji was flashing forward with the Sonic Wave. Does not find it, but he's going to go in anyway. Dragon's Rage through onto Stixxay. Tony Top is going to be able to prevent them from getting run down here, but they have to defend the base.
This is a tall task, Mark, for them to try and defend anything. The skill shots, the siege available to the members of FlyQuest. The second Baron stronger than the first. These minions so difficult for the members of Golden Guardians to actually clear. And now with the inhibitors respawning, the onslaught is going to be a little bit less, but you have to imagine that's only for a brief moment before the members of FlyQuest are able to take it down once again, controlling all the vision, making sure that Golden Guardians don't have any way to go for any cheeky plays. They are grouped up with only 4 members. Golden Guardians need to wait for Iconic, and even then, we don't know if they're fast enough.
And this is, I don't think we've really had a chance to capitalize on this, Josh, but oh my god!
He's gone.
We don't even have a chance to set it up. Ryoma getting poked out this whole composition and the way that things started for Golden Guardians, they had played towards Stixxay and Chime, giving them so much of a lead. They got the first 3 dragons of the game, but by the mid-game, that one fight on the 4th dragon, FlyQuest were able to hold themselves triumphantly. Iconic going in now for a last man play, trying to save this game from crumbling in the favor of Golden Guardians. True Shot Barrage doesn't get any poke damage down onto the members. Final Spark, not going to be a killing blow. UG flying in as well. They're just keeping Golden Guardians away from the minion wave. Allow the empowered minions to just take down the turrets with impunity. And I believe that shall be the game because, you know, it's, it's the client lagging once again. But FlyQuest will be triumphant in game 1.
And there you go. I feel like this was a great proof of concept, a great exercise coming through for the members of FlyQuest. This kind of composition requires a lot of discipline from the members of FlyQuest, and that's something that we haven't necessarily seen a whole lot of from this roster. And as they take the first half in a way that we haven't seen them play before, I'm excited to see a lot of teams coming up and figuring things out as FlyQuest. Again, I mean, they made an Ikebana. I don't know if you guys saw this on Twitter, but they put together a flower arrangement for Golden Guardians. Maybe this is what they're actually going to be doing in order to get the power up they need to win.
Well, wait, what's an Ikebana? What?
Ikebana?
Yeah.
It's a flower arrangement. It's Japanese style. Trisha Sugita, right? The Megumi X Bear on Twitter. She put together a flower arrangement for Golden Guardians, and I feel like all the players are just like leveling up. They're just like, yes.
Did they arrange it for Golden Guardian's funeral, or what I'm trying to...
That wasn't the intention, but, you know, it could be. It serves a dual purpose.
No. We know that FlyQuest is the positive, wholesome organization, so that's...
Yeah. I mean,
our
Leche is telling me...
Are telling us to respect our opponents when we win, so... Okay.
I like your skiing picture there, Leche.
I wish we could show it to the audience. Our observer has a skiing picture. You know what? You should throw this up on Twitter. Hashtag Leche fandom. But, ladies and gentlemen, I do want to still capitalize on the fact that seemed a very Golden Guardians favored game. The way that the first 3 dragons rolled out easily in their favor. The continuous attack onto the bottom side of the map. No real focus to accelerating Philip on the top side. And yet, just it was one dragon fight. And suddenly, FlyQuest were back in control. And the one Baron that they got, they completely destroyed the top side of the base in Golden Guardians.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we've been seeing about the composition so far today. They are either going to be compositions that are very far ahead when they are ahead, or very far behind when they are behind. And poke compositions are like that. They're super knife's edge when they're even, and just being able to see the discipline that comes out from FlyQuest during that last dragon fight that ended up snowballing them the game is what we need to see from this kind of composition and from this team. And the teamwork that is required really made them look a lot better.
Great stuff to see if you're a FlyQuest fan. They're just continuously finding more wins after having a very, very difficult first 2 weeks of Academy gameplay. But when we return, we'll see if Golden Guardians are able to even up the series and protect some of that confidence and momentum going forward. And we'll also be joined by Kangas once again. We'll see you after the break.